Welcome. This is a video presentation of an abstract submitted by me, Þorgeirsson, and my colleagues titled The Minutes of Play Before and During a 2-minute Suspension in Semi-Professional Male and Female Handball. The 2-minute suspension represents an interesting spell in the game, which has evolved a lot during the last 8 years, since substituting the goalkeeper for an outcourt player was allowed. It paved the way for tactical modifications both during equal numbers and when in numerical inferiority. Fouls that warrant 2-minute suspensions are the result of repeated personal fouling from warning, yellow, and then receiving 2-minute suspensions up to 3 times. These fouls cause danger to the opponent with high intensity, fouls to the head, neck, or throat, and unsportsmanlike behavior. There have been a few researches into this subject, and here we name a few. Prior to the 2016 rule change, which allowed the goalkeeper to be substituted, we saw small positive scoring increments for the team in numerical superiority, as would have been expected. One of the most relevant variable in World Championships for men during a 10-year spell was the 2-minute exclusion, according to Almeida et al. The opponent quality mattered, according to home and visiting teams in elite male handball, according to the ban. Post these 2016 rule changes, we have had a few papers as well. Handball et al. Showed neutral effect on scoring. That might have been the result of adaptations from this new rule change. Playing with an extra player in offense, therefore with an empty net, no goalkeeper, could provide opportunities, was the conclusion of one recent paper. Best ranked female teams played with an empty net and did it efficiently, according to a paper from Trejo Silva et al. The purpose of this work was to compare goal scoring by the teams during 2 minutes of player suspensions and the 2 preceding minutes, and further comparing the 4 1-minute periods to each other and compare the 2 teams scoring during this period. Here we can see the data analysis. It evolved from a total sample of 1,159 matches that the whole dataset contained initially, and it included 7,638 suspensions. From it, we removed overlapping suspension. There are periods where more than one suspension happens in a period of these 4 minutes that we're examining. And that left out 3,122 suspensions from 18 teams in total, both male and female. And here are our results. Friedman test revealed significant differences between 4-minute periods for a team and the opponents. Follow-up Wilcoxon test revealed significant differences between each pair of 1-minute periods for both teams, except for the first and last periods with with a player suspended, which is really interesting that the scoring isn't different with a full squad or with a player suspended. And now for a discussion. In line with previous papers around handball suspension, it was expected that scoring during the 2-minute suspension would differ in favor of the team in numerical superiority. However, results showing the team later to be penalized to score more in the minutes before the suspension raises questions, as we do not in this method account for ball possession. So what happens exactly before the suspension is awarded? Possibly it's time spent trying to break through the ranks, so the attack might have been standing for a few seconds or even half a minute, and before that the team that was suspended was on attack. So that might explain why the differences are what we've seen here in lower scoring of the opponent. Secondly, the team scoring during suspension in the second minute of the suspension is similar to the first minute of the period that we considered. There was no significant difference between those periods, the second minute of the suspension and the first minute of our period, during full squad. And that is quite interesting, as the game is evening out in terms of scoring to a full squad scoring almost, although we can see the numbers are not the same. Further, to conclude, numerical superiority results in better scoring, not surprisingly. There is an indication of offensive adaptation to the suspension in the second minute during the suspension, as it is not significantly different to the first minute of the period we included in this research. It is different, it's in different line to what Laxdal et al. Found in their research. They found that the 2-minute suspensions and red cards, that is illegal fouls, did not affect the final outcome. So here we have periods in which the scoring is better for one team, although another paper finds out that that doesn't necessarily have an effect on the final outcome of the match. So it's interesting to contrast what happens during the suspension, which is obviously better to be in numerical superiority, and what happens outside of this time period, outside of the suspension. So is it an indication of aggressive defense style effect, that is that you're enjoying your aggressive style when you're not being suspended, but of course you suffer a little bit for it during the suspension? We would think of it as the winning games despite periods of suspension with the negative scoring, and thus benefiting during longer periods of balanced player numbers. Not accounting for the team ball possession is a limitation, and of course there are lots of other situational variables that could influence the scoring during this period. For example, which player is suspended or not, which players are involved in these instances, and what type of defense, and lots of other things that we do not account for. Anyway, we see significant differences examining a large data set. So the future research should analyze the data by sex separately. Here we combine them for the power, and also take into account ball possession. Thank you so much. If you want to have contact, I have this email here, sveinn@ru.is. Feel free to send me any questions or thoughts. Thank you.